Yo, y'all ready for this? Yeah.
What's up, Bodybuilding.com listeners? My name is Danielle Bitts, and welcome back to the BBcom podcast. Today, I'm joined by Ken Yu. Ken has been a certified personal trainer for over 10 years and joins us as a Bodybuilding.com master coach. Using strength movements to increase the ability to complete everyday tasks for the long game is of the utmost priority to Ken and the guidance he provides. Before fitness, Ken worked in the corporate world as an attorney, and he's a natural athlete who enjoys playing sports, joining functional fitness gyms, and falling in love with the overall process. Now, finding himself fittest at 40, Ken encourages mental resilience through training in his sessions, encouraging you to step out of your comfort zone and push yourself to new limits, no matter how old you are. Ken, welcome to the pod and welcome to Bodybuilding.com.
Thank you so much for the amazing intro.
We're going to jump in and have everybody learn a little bit about our master coaches here in the coming weeks and in the coming episodes. So stay tuned as we announce our roster. Stay tuned as we release more content to help you connect with them a bit better to understand who you want to work out with here in 2025. So Ken, we're jumping in. Tell us what brought you to becoming a coach and the purpose behind your journey.
Yeah, so I was in the corporate world. I was an attorney for litigation, both in tax, criminal defense, and civil litigation. And when you're in that environment, it's just like a dogfight day in and day out. You know, you're going against opponents, you're fighting emotions, you are just fighting these people. And I needed to get away from that. And so I joined a CrossFit gym, and the community there was just so amazing. You're working out together, you're lifting together, you're learning how to snatch and clean and jerk and muscle ups. And that really inspired me to be better about myself. So I started spending more time at the gym. And I was like, oh man, I kind of like this. And so I got my CrossFit certification. I started being a part-time coach. And then one day I was like, I should try this. So I applied to a big box gym. I applied on a Thursday. And then on Friday, they gave me a phone interview. Saturday, I went in for an in-person interview. And then on Monday morning after court, I went in for a group interview in my suit. And they made me like squat and do push-ups. And they're like, who's this corporate guy? And then I was, and they gave me that job the next day.
So you're doing the squats, the push-ups in your suit.
Yes.
That's epic.
Yeah, I was sitting there. I was like, and they were like, the guy in the suit, you're the one that needs to squat. We'll analyze you. And I squatted perfectly. And they're like, oh, you can actually squat.
Yeah, they thought you were coming in with the tech neck and the rounded shoulders, and you probably had a better squat form than everybody in the room. Coming from an environment like a courtroom, I mean, tell us the vast differences of your day-to-day and just how your life changed, switching careers like this.
Yeah, so I'd sit at court from the beginning of the day, and I would sit there all day long. I'd get up and talk for 5 minutes, and then I'd sit back down and just sit there all day long. And then when I wasn't doing that, I'd go home and I'd write briefs and just sit in front of my computer the entire day. And now I get to walk around. I get to stretch with my clients. I get to, really move my body and just feel so much better. I mean, my posture has changed so much in the last 10 years of doing this.
Tell us how your fitness journey has evolved over time. You started as an athlete yourself. You got into more functional fitness and CrossFit. But tell us how you have really evolved to become the coach that you are today.
Yeah, so I think it all started with running. I was like a cross-country kid. I was a soccer player. Didn't really went to the gym at all. I remember we were in high school, and they're like, okay, this is how you work out. Everyone get on a machine. We're going to go for 1 minute, and then you're going to rotate to the next person on the next machine. So you'd be doing a leg press, and then you do a neck bend, and then you do a bicep curl. And I was like, this is not for me. I don't want to ever work out. And so all I did was run. And then from there, I played rugby in college. And I think these guys were massive and huge and strong. And I was like, oh, I think I actually need to work out. And so, after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing the gym. My older brother actually helped me taught me to do like bench press and squats. And I had really no idea what I was doing, but I started doing that. And then once I started getting good at it, I was like, oh man, I'm pretty decently strong. Like I can do this. And that's what really got me into and I'm like, okay, maybe I can bodybuild. And I was like, okay, I'll do some bodybuilding. I'm like, I found a kind of bodybuilding coach, and he's like, this is how you really do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, this feels really good. He made me more sore than I've ever been in my entire life. Like I couldn't walk. I had to drink like a gallon of Gatorade just to get off the couch. And that was like the first part of it. I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, now that I'm kind of like bigger, and I was like, I don't really move very well. I can only do these 5 lifts, and that's all I can do. And so I moved on from there, and I was like, maybe I should move better. So I got into a CrossFit gym, and then they taught me how to do handstands, how to do muscle ups, how to do all these things. And I was like, oh, wow, now I can really move.
I feel like this is the exact evolution that you hear all of the best coaches talk about. They started as an athlete in some sort of specific sport that grew into, well, it eventually always has to transition into getting stronger and faster. So you're in the weight room, you start to develop that love. That sport may end, maybe college is over, injuries happen, etc. You fall in love with more of the weight room process. You get strong, you get fast, but now you're missing that competition aspect. So now you go hunting for the CrossFit, the Ollie lifting, maybe you join a soccer rec league, etc. So when you talk to coaches, especially those who have been doing this for a decade plus, you hear about the many lives in fitness and movement that they've lived. But all of that to say, I think it really transfers over well into having a diverse roster of clients and how they can speak to those clients. Sure, you can help somebody become a bit less sedentary to get into a daily movement routine, but you can also speak to those who do want to go after their first marathon, do want to start, performing in Olympic weightlifting for whatever reason, join a CrossFit gym, et cetera. I always find that parallel between the coaches that come in here. How would you specifically describe your coaching style?
It's actually really relaxed. I've taken those group fitness classes where you have that drill sergeant, that Terry Crews looking guy, like just screaming at you. And I got decent results doing that. But I knew that wasn't for me. Like, I'm not going to scream at you. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to scream 3, 2, 1 and high five and fist pump you. I'm just not that type of person. But instead, I want to give you a lot of knowledge. I want to motivate you, self-motivate you. So when I'm not there, you're like, okay, can remember to pull back my shoulder blades, so really activate my chest. And I want that knowledge to be there. And so they hear my voice in their head while they're lifting, while they're doing these things. They're like, oh yeah, I have to remember that.
A coach of wisdom, instilling the everyday cues that they can take into their workouts, because that's the point, right? I mean, don't let me speak for you, but as a coach, at least from my perspective, when I've worked with clients, I want to provide you with the tools so that you can be successful in the times that you're not with me. We don't want our clients to be hyper dependent on, just be having us by their side, right? So you get them, 1 to 2 times a week if you're lucky for in-person clients, but you really want to set them up for success outside of your sessions.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's the key to that. For me, if you can get one session and you get one tip that makes your lift better, then you've succeeded. I think these people want to come into a session and be like, I'm going to fix my deadlift today. And you're like, no way. You can't fix everything. Like, they just focus on one thing, like engage your core. And once we can do that, then we move on to the next thing.
And taking a step back, it's pretty hard for some people to understand how to engage your core. Yeah. Like that's usually step one. It's like, what do you mean? My core is engaged. It's like, no, we're gonna turn on some of these muscles, because turning on that core is going to lead into an unlock in so many other realms. A question for you. How do you want people to feel when finishing a workout with you? So we have workouts coming out with you in 2025 in Bodybuilding.com's new fitness app and new experience. How do you want users to feel once they press, end workout or finish workout in that app?
Yeah, totally. I want people to feel good, but like slightly sore the next day. I want you to be able to come back day in, day out and do this, build that consistency in working out. I think a lot of times you go in there, you blast through this 90-minute workout, you're drenched in sweat, you're hurt, and then the next day you can't even move. And then you're not going to want to work out again. You're not going to want to see me again. You're like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's too intense. Instead, you want to have this really nice, you want to feel like you worked out, your muscles feel kind of sore, but you're like, I'm ready for that again. I want to put another 5 pounds on for that workout. And the next week I'm going to do 5 more pounds.
In the app and with Ken specifically, we're going to have a ton of strength workouts. Strength really was the core of everything that you programmed for individuals within the app. Tell us why strength is at the core of your coaching principles.
Yeah, I mean, strength is the building block, is the foundation of your physical ability in everyday life. If you can't walk up the stairs after the subway station, you can't carry your groceries home, then there's a problem. And this is why you need to learn to deadlift. This is why you need to farmer carry. This is why you need to strength train so you can just be healthier and live longer. A great example is my mom had knee surgery, and she was barely able to walk and had a bunch of pain, and she wasn't doing her PT exercises. I'm like, Mom, you have to do your PT exercises. And she started doing them slowly by surely. And now, last week she hiked at Patagonia. And so she's feeling so much better. She didn't need her cane to actually walk. And that is what your fitness is about.
Yeah, transferring what you're learning in the 4 walls of a gym to go out there and actually see parts of the world that maybe you quite literally were not fit for at one time, right? So I think gifting people with that ability is pretty commensable. What's your favorite movement, Ken, and why?
I would say the deadlift, because I was awful at the deadlift. I remember there was I went on leg day and I was like, oh my God, my back hurts. I'm like, okay, maybe let's put on back day. And I'm like, oh my God, my back hurts. And when you're really bad at something, there's so much room for improvement. And I kind of avoided it. And I was like, I can't figure this out. I just hurt my back every single time. And I'm like, it wasn't like that good back feeling. It was like that, oh my God, I think I snapped something. And then I slowly was like, okay, let me activate things. Let me get my grip right. Let me get my lats activated. And then once I started doing it, I was like, oh no, this feels really good. It's starting to activate everything, and you can lift the most weight you possibly can. And basically, you can teach anyone to deadlift. It's like, oh, okay, I'm never going to hurt my back again. I can actually pick up something off the ground. I can pick up my kid.
Yeah, pick up that Amazon package that's coming after this Black Friday.
Yeah.
But I think the deadlift for me, I've always really I would say when I unlocked deadlifting and I started to feel how it's supposed to feel, it was a game changer for me, and not just in the sense that I can move more weight on the bar, in the sense of, wow, like I can build my entire posterior chain with this one movement. How incredible is that? And deadlifting for me, I mean, if I'm in a long car ride, if I'm coming off of a travel day, I just want to get into the gym the next day and do some deadlifts. And then it's not crazy. We're not loading up the bar with crazy weight. But if I can find myself a decently heavy kettlebell, 80-pound kettlebell, and just sit there and just do some conservative reps to activate my glutes, my hamstrings, my back, it just alleviates all of the pain points that I typically find when I'm seated for a long period of time.
Absolutely.
What's your advice for someone who's just getting started? I mean, someone who has never picked up a weight, or maybe they have and they immediately put it back down. They're a bit too intimidated to get into the gym. They start running, they're out of air within 2 minutes and they stop, right? They just can't break through that beginner's plateau, right? So what's your advice for somebody like that?
I always tell them like the hardest step is getting out the front door. But every step counts after that. If you go for a 5-minute walk, you get credit for that. And if your people get disheartened and be like, oh, I can only walk 5 minutes. I'm like, no, you did 5 minutes. And if you do 5 minutes tomorrow and 5 minutes the next day, like you're going to add up. Every rep counts. So the more that you can just lift and do things, and it doesn't matter if you have an hour or 5 minutes, if you just keep going at it and building consistency, you will get there. Because that's how we all started.
Of an advanced gym goer, somebody who's progressed throughout their fitness journey for a number of years now, they can lift, a good amount of weight. I'm talking the folks who are over the 200-pound deadlift, over 200-pound squat, over 200-pound deadlift, et cetera. They've exceeded the 250 club and all of it, right? They can't get another 5, 10, 15 pounds added to their 1-rep max. What's your advice for somebody like that?
Yeah, I would say it's equal parts mindset and physical capacity. So first I would look at their physical capacity. If they're overdoing it, right? It's time to take a deload a week. You can take down the weight and really build a wider base so you can get that higher plateau. So maybe, I would say like, let's do 50% and build up from there again. I think we're always like hunting for these things. And if you're just constantly trying to PR, you're never going to make it.
Mm-hmm. So we're saying what overtraining has a lot to do with that. Let's look at how much you're training, the training frequency. Let's look at the load. Let's understand if you're fueling correctly, recovering correctly, which is probably a larger conversation that we could sit here and talk hours upon hours about, right? Are we chasing a 5-pound PR when we on 3 hours of sleep? That's probably going to make a big difference, right?
Definitely.
Tell us about your favorite Signature product and why it's a part of your daily stack. And, for us in Signature, we're really excited. This is a super exciting time at BBCom. We are re-releasing Signature in a new and improved way in early 2025. We've removed all artificial dyes and coloring and replaced those with natural ingredients. And we are releasing a number of brand new products within the Signature line. But Ken, what's your specific Signature go-to?
Always creatine monohydrate. You cannot go wrong with this. It's like I've been taking it for almost 20 years now, and it's always part of my stack. If I'm, loading up my blender bottle, the first thing that goes in is always creatine.
Why creatine?
Most studied, very well tolerated. I feel the difference in my own lifting, and it will make you stronger. It will make you have more energy. You'll just grow more muscle.
What's interesting about creatine, well, first of all, it's now considered the most researched supplement on the market. We have tons and tons of great data behind it. Bodybuilding.com has been talking about it as early as 2002. Humble brag there, everybody. And Signature creatine is creatine monohydrate. Creatine monohydrate is very closely being associated with cognitive improvement as well over time. There are some studies out there associated with potential decreased risk in diseases such as Alzheimer's, dementia, et cetera. Overall, very great for muscle health, very great for strength, but also very great for brain health and cognitive health long term. Ken, tell us about how you fuel your day. What's your nutrition plan look like?
So I'm a meal prepper. I've been meal prepping for 15 years.
That's a prerequisite for being a BBCom coach. You have to meal prep.
Definitely. I'm kind of like a reducitarian when it comes to animal products. I still eat some meat. I will do some dairy, but I try to just be plant forward as much as possible. I try to eat 30 different plants, and that has made me feel so much better. When I started this, my blood pressure went down 15 points immediately as soon as I ate more plants, and I was like, oh, wow, this feels really good.
And what do you do for recovery?
I sauna 3 times a week. I always have a dedicated rest day. So like Saturday is like my holy day of rest. I will not work out. I will not go do something because that's how I am always just trying to do more. I'm like, how much can I run today? Can I lift today? Can I do a yoga class? And I'm like, I need to take a full day off.
Always optimizing. That's probably hard as a coach to remove yourself from something that's quite literally your profession.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. We are going to round it out with a fast, rapid fire 10 for 10 here. So, Ken, I'm going to give you an option A, option B, and you're going to pick the former or the latter. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right, here we go. This is the BB.com edition. Upper body or lower body?
Lower body.
Push or pull?
Pull.
Deadlift or squat?
Squat.
Biceps or triceps?
Triceps.
Morning or night workout?
Morning.
Favorite book?
Peak by Anders Ericsson.
Good one. Favorite food?
I've been in New York for 10 years, so I'm going to say pizza.
On brand. Favorite music?
Hard rock.
One word to describe you.
Wow.
Pressure's on.
I'm going to go with hopefully intellectual.
One word to describe your workouts.
Effective.
Awesome. Ken, thanks for joining us today. The first of many, I'm sure, as we unroll and unravel the BB.com fitness app and our roster of coaches here at Bodybuilding.com. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we're looking forward to working out with you in 2025.
Thank you so much.